Hi, I'm Izzy, and this is Dizzy Quilts and Sews. Welcome to another mug rug tutorial, but this time we're doing it for St. Patrick's Day. All right, so when I published my Valentine's Day mug rug tutorial, a couple of you requested that I record one and publish one for St. Patrick's Day, and I just could not resist the challenge of designing a cute little mug rug to celebrate St. Patrick's Day. So for a couple of reasons. First of all, I love mug rugs. I've said this before. I want to have one for every occasion of the year on my desk. My daughter also loves them, so I'm making her one of these too. And St. Patrick's Day is very big in Montreal. We have a huge Irish community, and every year there's a big parade on St. Patrick's Day. All of the beer turns green and so on. So I thought it was a really fun idea to come up with a St. Patty's Day or a four-leaf clover mug rug. And in today's video, I'm going to show you how to make it. So you need two different fabrics. You need a fabric for your clover, which I went with Kona, I think it's emerald, and a background fabric. I went with Kona mint. And then you, of course, need a backing fabric. And this was a fat eighth I've had in my stash forever. But there's some green. You see here? There's some green in the horses that matches the emerald perfectly. So I went with that. So you need two fabrics for the front, one fabric for the back, and of course you need a small piece of batting for the middle. All of the cutting instructions will be down in the description below. So if you are ready, let's get started. All right, so I'm here at my cutting table and I've got all of my pieces cut. So again, I'll put all of the cutting instructions in the description box below, but we have two green 3-inch squares, and this will be the bottom of our clover. We've got two 3.5 by 2.5 rectangles. This will be the top of the clover. We've got one rectangle that's 1.5 inch by 4 inches. And these are all of the pieces we'll need for the clover. For the background, we're going to need 12 1-inch squares, two 1.5 by 3-inch rectangle. We're going to need some 1-inch strips for the border. I haven't cut these yet just because I'm not 100% sure of what my exact finished dimensions are going to be. So I'm just going to leave it like this for now. And then I've got a 40-inch strip of 2.5 a 2.5-inch strip, 40 inches long, and that's going to be for the binding. So I'm going to press this in half and then use this for binding our little quilt. So again, in the sample I made, I used the emerald green for the clover itself, and everything else is the mint, including the binding. I also have a piece of batting that's probably, yeah, it's 7 inches by 11 inches, so it's very big. And then I have a piece of backing fabric that's also way bigger than I need. I mean, if I put my finished quilt on top, these two pieces are way bigger, but yeah, you don't need them that big. All right, so that's all of the cutting you're going to need to make. So let's get sewing. Okay, the first thing we need to do is to sew our 12 1-inch squares to the corners of our green pieces. So basically, as you're looking at this, our 3-inch squares are going to be the bottom of the clover, and then our 3.5 by 2.5 are going to be the top of the clover. So now we need to sew a 1-inch square in 3 of the 4 corners, like this. Oh, and actually, there we go. They go here. So the 4 corners that are at the center, they don't get a square. Okay? So, there we go. Like this, and like this. And now what we're going to do is use the stitch and flip method of sewing these corners. I'm just going to bring one closer so you can see. So I've got my square here. Now I'm going to stitch from this corner to that corner here, so that when we iron them or press them up, I'm going to end up with a nice corner like this. So for all 3, I'm going to go diagonally like this, and then like this. All right, so go ahead and sew your 12 little squares or 12 corners, and then I'll come back here when I've done that. All right, so I've sewn all of my little squares to the corners, and now what I need to do is trim. All right, so you basically take your ruler and you measure 1/4 inch away from your seam line. So my seam line is here, 1/4 inch away from that. And I'm just going to trim these little triangles. And I'm going to do that for every corner or every square that I just stitched on. Don't cut the corner that does not have a square. All right, so do that for your 4 pieces, and then go to your pressing station and press the triangles towards the corner like this. All right, so you've got your trimmed corner. Now you're going to press it up like this so that you have a nice 90-degree angle. Okay, and do that for every corner. All right, so I've got all of my corners pressed up or flipped, and now I have my clover starting to come together. So again, I've got my 2.5 by 3.5 pieces on top, my 3-inch squares at the bottom. The next step now is to sew your 1.5 by, no, I'm sorry. The next step is to sew your 1.5 by 3-inch strips to the bottom of your clover like this. So attach them to your 3.5-inch pieces like this, and then we're gonna press them down. So stitch both of those pieces at 1/4 inch seam allowance. And while you're at your machine, you can also sew these 2 together in the middle. So stitch down here at 1/4 inch. So when that's done, you're gonna have the top of your clover completely finished. All right, so this is what your clover should look like. So we've sewn our background pieces to the bottom here. Press your seam allowance towards the mint fabric, and then we've sewn these 2 pieces together, and I press the seam open on that one. Next, we're going to take our 1.5 by 4-inch emerald green piece, and we're going to sew it between your two bottom pieces like this. So take your rectangle, right sides together with this piece here, stitch at 1/4 inch, press towards the emerald, and then once that's open, you're gonna sew the second piece again at 1/4 inch and press the seam allowance towards your emerald middle piece. All right, there we go. So now our clover is in 2 pieces. We've got our assembled bottom and we've got our assembled top. So we're now going to sew both of those together like this and stitching at 1/4 inch along here, and then press the seam allowance. Probably the easiest way will be to press it towards the top part, but wherever your seam allowance wants to go, just let it go there. All right, there we go. And here's our little 4-leaf clover all done. So now the last thing you need to do is sew a border on each side. So on the right side and the left side from your 1-inch strip here. So it measures about 6 inches. So actually mine measures pretty much exactly 6 inches. So yours should be very close to that. So basically just put a 1-inch strip on the left, sew at 1/4 inch, press towards the border, and do that on the right and left side of your clover. And there we go. Here's my finished little mug rug top. So now I can take my backing, which is right side down, my batting, and then center my little quilt top on top, quilt, trim, and bind. And then end with a little mug rug like this one. I'm not going to go through all of those steps with you. Instead, I can link to a mug rug tutorial I did for Christmas back in November. So I'm going to link down to that, and it explains exactly how to do the quilting, how to then trim your rug, and how to bind it. So there you go. After you've done all of that, you'll have a super cute St. Patrick's Day mug rug. And there you go. 2 mug rugs. So one for me, one for my daughter, and I couldn't be happier. Like, I think these are super cute, and I'm going to use mine probably the entire month of March. If you have any questions whatsoever, please leave them in the comments below. As I said, I'm also going to put a link to my Christmas mug rug video, which walks you through the quilting, trimming, and binding of your mug rug if you've not done any of those steps before. And yeah, like I said, leave comments down or questions down in the comments below. Now, if you make one of these mug rugs, I would love for you to tag me on Instagram. If you post a picture, I would love to see all of your mug rugs. So please, please tag me on Instagram. I'm at Dizzy Quilts blog on Instagram. All of my information is always down in the description box. So you'll have my email, my Instagram. I even have a Ko-fi account or coffee account. And all of the link to those things are down there. So thanks so much for stopping by. Please give the video a like on your way out if you liked it, and consider subscribing to the channel. Thanks again, and I will see you soon.